Whenever I first applied to this program, I was 7 or 8 months pregnant, and now in a few days I'll have a 1-year-old. And so, beyond COVID, like life has been really wild, and being in this program and having this consistency and this sort of grounded centeredness is something I really cherish and very grateful for. And so I'm grateful for the CSIS team. I'm grateful for the content and the time and the energy, and really just trying everything possible to make such a creative, engaging, positive atmosphere in this mode of Zoom in a pandemic. And it's really because of this program and this cohort and the networking and the conversations that I started my own organization, specifically due to the energy and motivation of the CSIS program. And so now I've launched the Civic Innovation Lab, and I'm connecting civic leaders in our communities with social and financial capital to activate civic innovation. And it's something I've been really passionate about. And it's really because of this experience that I really grew the confidence and the relationship, my own social capital, to really feel encouraged and pushed to do that. And so I just really want to give my gratitude for this cohort, the relationships I've made across the world, and really the network I've grown, and the just experience y'all have shared with me, the knowledge and the affirmations and the learning that you've all shared with me is something I'm very grateful for. And I'm also very grateful for every one of you committing to doing this important, not only self-work, but communal work. And so thank you for just really having hope that our world can be positive for more people and for more groups, and we can reimagine and redesign together.
I truly am so grateful to be in community with such a brilliant, inspiring, and diverse cohort of changemakers. My experience with this program was everything I could have wanted and more. Like many of you, I think I initially applied to this program because I was looking for help turning my big ideas into action. And indeed, I did get a ton of actionable things out of this program. But more than anything else, I am grateful because I found community and shared purpose within this cohort. You all challenged and inspired me and made me feel like I was growing and moving forward when the rest of the world felt paralyzed by chaos and uncertainty. I feel like rather than helping me double down on a singular path, this program has instead broken open a whole new realm of possibilities to question and explore. So I humbly want to offer a few final thoughts to those of us who are maybe a little less sure about where we go from here. I think a lot of us are drawn to social impact work because we want to make the world a better place. When I imagine a better world, what comes to mind are principles of equity, justice, and collective liberation. And when I think about how we might get to that better world, I think about critical self-reflection, unlearning and dismantling systems of oppression, celebrating a multiplicity of voices, and cultivating authentic connections. This program has given us incredibly valuable tools, but it's up to us to figure out how best to use them. It's our responsibility to continue interrogating these tools so that we can ensure that they are being used not just to embolden our own successes, but to really achieve sustainable and equitable impact. For me, at this stage of my journey, that means taking a step back from my own ideas and deepening my knowledge of the field and the communities I hope to serve. It means sharing out what I've learned in this amazing program to my network so that these tools might be used to strengthen and uplift work already happening. It means collaborating and building community with other change makers like you all so that we can work collectively towards shared visions of a better world.
I want you all to grab your silly putties. If you don't know what silly putty is, we had this growing up. It's a little red egg, and it's plastic, and you open it up and there's this squishy plasticky plastic in there and you can stretch it. So we need everybody to grab their silly putty out of it. But you're going, well, I don't have real silly putty. Well, I'm an improviser. And what we do on stage is we don't have props. So we pretend to have it. So everybody has their little red egg. You can just go ahead and open it and grab that silly putty out. And you can just start to play with it while I tell you a little story. So silly putty's super fun. I loved this stuff when I was little. And I thought about this actually just this morning. So I ran out and got you all silly putty. And so if you know silly putty, what happens if you don't play with it for a while is it starts to get hard. And it starts to not be very flexible. So if you can imagine your silly putty in your hand right now that you haven't played with in a long time, that silly putty is it won't stretch anymore. And one of the coolest things you could do with Silly Putty is you could take a headline of a newspaper, pieces of a newspaper. Do you remember that? And if you press it and you pull it, you can see it gets, you pull the ink up, and then you could stretch out people's faces and you could stretch out the news. And if you didn't like it, you could smush it and close it, and you could just erase it if you didn't like that headline. And there's a lot of headlines that I didn't like over the past couple of years. You know, my business, my theater, my training center, my school, my community was shut down for 15 months. And I can deal with that. But I think there was more of watching how many people were isolated, how many people were suffering, how many people were losing their small businesses, especially. And I was feeling, I would wake up every morning and I'd have my coffee like I did this morning, and I wouldn't think, who am I? and have great thoughts. I would think, how are we going to survive? And I would think, how are we going to help these people? And I didn't feel like I could. I would check the news and I'd feel helpless and I'd feel frustrated and sometimes really super annoyed. And my Silly Putty just got drier and drier, and it wouldn't stretch. And my outlook, which used to be this huge stretchy thing, went from years to weeks to like minutes. I'd feel like I could only plan for the next minute. And then something happened where I started this program because I refused to not have stretchy Silly Putty in my life. And I would not only see the news, but I'd also get this alert every day from Canvas, the program that we all communicate on. And I would see the messages and I would see the discussions about from all over the world, from Singapore, from Saudi Arabia, from the UK, from Philadelphia and Boston. And I would see people explaining what they're doing in their communities. And I would see other people encouraging them. And I would see other people adding ideas. And we'd jump on these jams. And my Silly Putty, it was like mineral oil being put into it. And so you also got your putty. Remember what that felt like? And you started to stretch that putty again. And you started to push down things, and you'd pull up headlines and you could stretch them out or you could squish them again. And I started playing with my Silly Putty again. And I started feeling like Silly Putty again. And now I feel like because of this program, and I don't know if this resonates with you, but I can so much more see my strengths again. And I feel like I have some of my superpower back. And I feel like I know how it matches with the world's greatest needs, and I feel much more focused. So my outlook, and I hope your outlook from this program, has stretched like the Silly Putty you were just stretching in your hands. If we work at it and connect and work together and think about all those possibilities and the tools we have, we can stretch Silly Putty all around the world like we're doing right now and use the power of possibility. So thank you so much for letting me be a part of that. And you get to keep that Silly Putty. It's all yours.